Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and continuing on our saga with Importel. We're going to shift gears a little bit and get into some OEM integration, some integration tools and a brand that you may or may not have heard of. Because if after this session, you're going to want to get to know them just a little bit more. And of course, that brand I'm talking about is Connex2. But before we get there, let's bring on my co-captain of this ship, Mr. Romesh.
Good afternoon, Ben. How are you?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
12-volt specialist at Importel. That's a big title.
Lots of letters and vowels and things.
It matches your last name.
True. makes me well suited to all those questions.
Yeah, man. So you heard what I just said. A brand that you may or may not know. Would you agree with that?
Many people probably unbeknownst know the brand because there are a lot of products that Connex2 makes that are sold under other labels.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the vehicles that often when consumers come in or when they're quoting a job, they get the phone call at the dealer level and, we don't have a part for that, or it's fiber optic. You just got to gut everything.
Hey, man, I've got a 2019 fully loaded Range Rover. Can you do me a kit?
Right.
You're like, what?
Eyes go Audi R8. I mean, just to pick one.
Audi R8, yeah. There's
right. That's a bit of a oddball car, and you'd think that there isn't really a lot of demand. However, there's no other kit that I'm aware of that fits properly. There's a couple, but they're not really very good. All
right, so we're giving the guys tuning in a little bit of a teaser on what Connex2 is all about.
Absolutely.
But why are we doing that when we have from across the pond the 12 volts, aftermarket director for Connex2 themselves? I'm going to welcome to the show, Mr. Andy Simner. Welcome to CMA Industry Week, Andy.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm well. I hope we didn't bother you during your late afternoon tea time.
No, you've just missed afternoon tea, but I'm ready for you now. Hi, Ramesh.
Perfect.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Good to finally see you after a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
I understand he does frequent, before COVID, of course, came over here and hung out in Canada with us once or twice.
Yeah, I've traveled a fair bit, but the last year's been home only, the dining room for the office. But normally I'd be traveling and doing the exhibitions, but we're on the video now.
Well, listen, we're on the video. We're here. We've got dealers tuning in, and we want to showcase Connex2. 25 years, Andy, you've been in this business.
Yep.
Why don't you give us a little breakdown of what Connex2 is all about?
Yeah. As you said, Connex2 started in 1999, and that's when we started the business. And we really started off with our first product, which was CD changer integration. 6-stack CD connecting to your original head unit in the vehicle, and that's where the business started. And from that, over the last 20 or so years, we've built up the business for supplying integration products to the 12-volt industry globally. So from Australia to Canada, Japan, down to Brazil, we supply that product, and it's all manufactured and developed by ourselves. And today is actually quite a special day because we've chosen this event to relaunch our brand refresh. As you can see there, we have our new logo. This was an ideal opportunity for us to put that out to the marketplace, and tomorrow we will launch it to all of the dealers as well. So we're having a refresh after 20 or so years, but the business has now built up to just shy of 4,500 integration products across electronics and plastics.
So let's stop right there. So two things. Congratulations, refresh, new brand. So the new logo. So just for you guys tuning in, if you see that logo on the right, that is the new logo for Connex2 moving forward. But let's just stop on that number right there on the bottom. 4,400 parts.
That's quite a lot there. I need to take some time to build it up.
Memory too.
Well, I stopped being able to remember all the parts a few years back. Luckily, we've got a web search tool now, but it's European based. That's where we started. Our European car park, stretching out to the Korean manufacturers, then the Japanese, and then fringing on some of the US applications as well, but primarily the European car park, and especially the premium brands with your BMWs, Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen, Land Rover. Those are where we are really strong in our range.
And the
And you
Canadian
know-
market, interestingly, is quite often, well, we get a European spec more than the United States does too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, in our minds, you know, if you even heard of Connexto, you know, you think it's a little niche brand with a couple SKUs here and there that you only order on special occasion. But to see 4,400 parts is got my curiosity peaked. So let's keep going, Andy.
Yeah, okay, so let me give you an idea of some of the applications, some of the SKUs which we're doing. A little bit more background on us. So philosophy for us, very much first to market. So we aim to be first to market with these premium European solutions. We've got 20 years worth of CAN bus integration knowledge. So we've got 22 engineers here in the UK who travel all over the world developing the product. Primarily they're electronics engineers, but we also have mechanical engineers as well. And we have 100 staff based here in the UK in sales, production, and development. Our tech support is in-house, so our engineers and our tech team support the product, which is absolutely crucial, as Ramesh will vouch for. You know, things do go wrong. Applications are confusing, and having that support and that backup when that happens is absolutely crucial to selling any integration product. Yeah, so that's a little bit more about us. Looking at some of the products, so let's get into some of the products, and here's a perfect example of something that's very unique to us. So the F-Series BMW 1 and 2 series, where we do a solution. You can see on the left there the before shot of the dashboard, and to the right, after a tuned-in aftermarket solution has been installed. So in a vehicle where people believe potentially there's no solution available, we make it possible, and we do this by retaining OEM systems, and we try not to have severe cuts to the dashboard as well. Those are brand philosophies for us. So we're retaining on this application climate system, steering wheel controls, obviously, safety systems on the vehicle, as well as offering the aftermarket solutions, all plug and play. So it's a plug-and-play solution, and as it says there in the top, we retain the fibre optic solution on the vehicle. So if the vehicle is amplified with fibre, the integration has the solution for that as well.
So factory clip points, factory harnesses, clip, plug and play. Wow, full retention. Look at that. I just noticed that you actually had to move that climate control setup above the radio and change the position of it altogether.
That's correct. And a lot of the cars, the original system didn't give the room, the physical room, for the aftermarket system to be installed. So we actually rearrange the dashboard as well. So you're quite right. We removed the original singled-in solution from the middle of the dashboard and hired where the climate was sitting to give us tuned-in aperture below to install that unit. I'll just give you a picture there of the actual kit itself, so you can see actually what comes with it. So it's a CAN bus solution, retaining phone button functionality. The product's completely USB updatable. And also with our products, not only is it CAN bus to allow you to install, we actually give CAN bus outputs on the interface. So we give park, brake, reverse, and ignition signals on the interface as well for other devices connected to the vehicle.
Right. So Canadian solution, the 1 series, I don't believe the F20, F21 was available, but we'll have 2 series covered in that. And why that's important is all of those vehicles didn't come with a CarPlay solution. So while it did have nav, when the customers coming in, that's what they're looking to do is get the whole, you know, they're paying $25,000, $30,000 for a used car, typically maybe not even financing it, and now they've got no connectivity. So that's where this kit really comes in.
That is the biggest thing on this kit is CarPlay. People have got this very high spec vehicle, but they haven't got CarPlay, which is an absolute must now for the consumer. So upgrading these units for CarPlay is where the demand right now at the dealer level is globally for these solutions. So moving on from the 1 and the 2 series, F series, we've done the same solution for the F series for 3 and 4. Again, exactly the same concept, very similar system where we rearrange the dashboard and we allow that aftermarket unit to be installed into the dash. Again, retaining the fiber optic solution where required, keeping all the OEM systems other than infotainment working through the original display on the top of the dashboard. And with this, just an interesting point, we actually retain the original head unit. We actually run an extension to the boot where you mount the original box in the boot, and that allows us to keep the safety critical systems like BMW Assist operational as well. There's no way we can re-engineer that. We cannot tap into BMW systems and replicate that. So we actually keep the original brain operational in the system to allow us to retain that feature for the customer on a brand new vehicle.
But no requirement to have any physical access to it for it to be operational.
Absolutely none. The kit comes with an extension cable down to the trunk, and you can install the unit in the boot in a discrete place underneath the carpeted area. And as long as it's connected, the system's operational, and things like BMW Assist will still work.
For clarification of our Canadian customers, Andy's referring to your trunk when he says boot.
That is, I tried to make that change beforehand. I tried to change my vocabulary. It depends where I go in the world. You have to change certain words.
Absolutely. It's just to make that right. Bonnet and boot refer to hood and trunk.
Correct.
Continue.
So the 3 and the 4 series, again, very similar system to the 1 and the 2. Fiber optic retention, full aftermarket control, aerial adapter for that, and obviously the plastics. No cutting required. And actually, I have this in my own 4 series, and I have CarPlay, which is the one thing I need. It's a fabulous system. Interesting on this Vertel, there's actually 2 for the convertible. There is actually 2 aerials on this Vertel. One for when the roof is up, and one for when the roof is down. So there is actually on the convertible an additional aerial piece that's required. Just a note.
I have a question about these kits that you're showing me.
Yeah.
What can you describe the finish of the material about these kits? Does it match the environment of said vehicles?
So in all the cases of the plastics, we match texture and we match the paint finish to the best of our ability. For sure, there is sometimes obviously matching 100% is not possible, but that is our objective at the design stage. Matching the texture is important because the paint itself is not enough. So we do texture and we do the paint match.
So it's not just a standard finish across the board.
It is not. It is not. No.
Very cool.
The paint matches the interior. A lot of the time, people think fascia kits are just black, but there's actually probably about 100 shades of black. And black is probably the hardest color to match on a dash kit. And anybody in the industry will tell you that from a manufacturing point of view. Sometimes it being beige is far easier than black to match up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feedback in the past on some of the Porsche kits as an example where there was 996, I think, was available in 996, 986, which is the first water-cooled Porsches in the Caymans. There were 2 different trim colors, I believe. There was a tan and a gray, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. I think you're right.
We tried to do black, and dealer feedback was, no, we want those kits. Like, we don't care what they cost. They fit and match perfectly. Like, just keep bringing them in. So.
It is. So yes, we always try to match the aesthetic. It's the same with our integration. We try to match the system to look as original as possible, because that's what the customer's used to seeing, and the logic and how the interfaces work as well. We're
talking about a premium vehicle customer. Yeah, they notice those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Later on in the presentation, we'll get to some Porsche applications. We actually changed our graphic on the OPS display for that very reason, because people who are driving these vehicles are particular, and they want to keep those features to their vehicle.
Okay.
Sticking with BMW, X5 and X6. So on these vehicles, we're looking at E70 and E71. Again, no opportunity to upgrade that vehicle. Very popular vehicle for being upgraded. Now the original system is quite dated. So again, we reorganized the dashboard to allow a 2D fitment in the lower part of the dash, as you can see there. Once more, we keep fiber working on the vehicles that need that. There's 2 versions of it, non-amplified and amplified, but we do both. We retain all the steering wheel control functionality, any safety critical systems, and again, we give the CAN bus outputs for this application as well. So looking at the kit, you can see from the CAN bus outputs, we're giving illumination, speed pulse, ignition, reverse, and park gear on top of the functionality of the actual integration kit itself.
I'm curious about that particular model. What happens with this factory screen on the top of the dash?
it becomes redundant. It becomes redundant.
Okay.
We actually remove it, and actually we put the buttons up top on the right hand side of the picture I'm showing you there, and we create a pocket at the top of the dash. So
okay.
it's actually disappearing. So you create a pocket for whatever use you use that for. We locate the buttons at the top, which is functional buttons for the settings of the Vertel, which are in the top row, and then down to your vents. So the display disappears because it's only used for infotainment.
Gotcha.
Okay, moving off BMW, Audi. So this is a real first for us and a complicated application. So Audi really since probably 2009, their Vertels moved away pretty much to tablet-based systems on MMI across their entire range, and gave the 12-volt industry a lot of headaches in the fact there's very little you sell into that car park. So we worked on the A4 and A5 Vertels. I think this is nearly a 1.5-year project for us, and we've made it possible to install a 2DIN solution into the Audi A4s and A5s, both left and right-hand drive, because you can see from these pictures there is curvature on the dashboard, but we do both. There is 2 systems on the Vertel, non-MMI and MMI, and there's also non-fiber and fiber. So in total, it gives us something like 16 SKUs. So it's a little bit complicated, but we'll go through that, explain, and see the benefits of the solution.
It's basically 8 left-hand drive, I think, right?
That's correct, Ramesh. So yeah, you're right. It's 16 because you're left and you're right, but we're only talking of left. The rest of you drive on the wrong side of the road, so we only have to do that for today.
I knew that was going to come up in this presentation. But
well played.
Seriously, Andy, if you don't mind, just I want to pin it here. I need to understand what MMI and non-MMI is, but let's go through the slides and then maybe, or it's up to you.
Yeah, no, the MMI bit is very, very important. So on this this slide here, I try to explain that a little bit. So MMI is the Audi multimedia interface. So it's the name for their multimedia solution on their Vertels. And MMI has been around, as I say, since about 2009, and there's many different variants of it. But on the Audi A4 and A5, which our solution covers, which we can cover off in dates, there's 2 variants. A Vertel with MMI and a Vertel without. On the 2 pictures you can see on the screen, the MMI version is where there is the controller in the center console of the Vertel. The non-MMI is where there's a circular button located within a unit within the dashboard of the Vertel. So you can easily identify on the A4 and the A5 which ones have MMI and which ones don't. No problem, we can do both, but it's important to which SKU you order. So those 2 pictures are absolutely crucial to identifying your application on whether it is MMI or non-MMI.
I think when they call Importel, you would probably ask if it's an Audi, immediately go to that second question: is this MMI or non-MMI? And you need to know that.
Yeah, MMI or non-MMI, or is it fiber? Is it a fiber optic system or not?
Oh, there's two variables.
That usually is a hang on, I'll find out and I'll call you back.
Right.
Yep. More often than not. But yeah.
That's exactly it. Is it MMI, non-MMI? Is it fiber? Is it non-fiber? And you're pretty much on the home straight then with finding out the application you need.
But Connect2 has an application for all those scenarios.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. It's just limiting the part number down really through application. So looking at the solutions, so the A4, A5 non-amplified with no MMI. So a lot of repetition here. The plastics, we actually retooled the vents for the Vertel because the vents were part of the original dash. So we retooled the vents, retooled the button area, as well as then doing a video interface, which allows us to take all the Vertel setting menus off Audi, and we replicate those in our interface and display them on the aftermarket head unit through the camera input. So it allows the customer to go through and change comfort settings on the Vertel, light settings, an example, lock settings. You can still change those through the menu that's displayed on your aftermarket Kenwood, Alpine, Pioneer unit. So it works with all brands, and we control those menus through our interface. So you keep all of your comfort settings, and at the same time we display climate information. So when we're changing temperature up, we can see what's happening there. And also optional parking system. So your OPS information that used to come up on your MMI display will now come up on your aftermarket head unit, and whether you've got front, rear, 360, that's covered.
Ramesh, I
Yes.
don't know if you have the details on hand with you now, but my curiosity is killing me. I just want a range of retail price for some of these kits. I have no idea, so I'm curious because they're so complete.
I'd have to add it up for you because we carry the kits in the individual parts. So Andy said there's a lot of repetitive parts, like the plastics and stuff. So when you click on the actual part number on the website, on the Connects 2 website, it actually details the antenna adapter and the steering wheel interface, the harness / steering wheel interface. It's all one module. It's not multiple modules like some of the other guys do it. So we carry them all in the sum of the parts. So I'd have to add them all up.
Okay.
So, and it'll depend if it's most, not most. The pricing varies significantly, like hundreds at retail.
Really? Yeah, I would imagine.
Well, because the media-oriented synchronous bus or transport for people that don't know what most is. Mm-hmm. It's that orange Owens Corning fiber piece that goes from the front to the back, and you'll see it plugged in the amplifier. So because of that beam of light's being turned into audio signal, the interface is considerably more involved because it's just not copper wire.
Right.
So it does add to the cost. So it will vary significantly. But retail, stabbing at it because we just loaded.
I'm just curious about a ballpark.
Yeah, that's a relatively new. That's a relatively new SKU. Andy, when did the Audi that kit's like what 3 months? 2 months?
Yeah, I mean the Audi's really started shipping. I mean, it was due to launch pre-COVID, but really started shipping at the back end of 2020, and is in stock roughly now. So it's a very new solution, and the marketing's just getting out there and the understanding.
Right. So if I'm throwing out retail pricing, you're gonna be non-amplified, like sort of low to high. You're gonna be somewhere in the 500 to 1,000 retail.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So,
thank you. I just needed some perspective.
Of course.
I mean, the fiber optic, as Ramesh says, there is a very costly part of the kits. It's expensive components, and also with the fiber, the fiber is like an electrical circuit. It's a complete ring which we have to keep working for the rest of the vehicle to remain working from an infotainment point of view. So the amplified, non-amplified on the fiber makes a big difference to the pricing of the kits.
All right.
The non-MMI and the MMI actually makes little difference. It's just actually a different system. Okay, so we've got the A4, A5 without MMI, amplified and non-amplified. Then we have the same solution there with MMI. So software is different. The kits are pretty much the same. It's just the software, and you see the breakdown in the part number. So yeah, you can see all these products are on Importel's website. They're broken down by SKU, so you can build your own kits, or on connect2.com you can see the kits, and obviously Importel can guide you along the way on the actual components you need to complete that kit. So that's it.
7 years of A4 model.
It's a huge span on A4, A5, absolutely huge. And that car park's untouched because no one has changed a system in that vehicle for all that time. And again, if you have a 2010 A4, you've got a very dated system you're dealing with right now. It's still actually a very valuable vehicle. So yes, there's a big upgrade opportunity on that vehicle.
Absolutely. Especially like the 12, 13, 14, 15s. You're getting a really outdated sound system for a 15, which is only 5 years old, really.
Yeah.
Great option. Yep.
Okay. So, for Audi, there's other solutions which are available. This is a new one. So there are other ones coming through, and we've got more planned for Audi in 21 going into 22. Moving on to Porsche. So perfect example, really, where we're talking about customers wanted to keep the aesthetics of their vehicle very, very similar. So on Porsche, we've got quite a few products to talk through right now. But one of the things we did, and we put this in here for this very reason, is to explain how we've changed our software to mirror the OPS graphics of Porsche. Porsche have got a very wide angle OPS graphic, and we've replicated that in our interface. So the picture on the left, you see the original Porsche display is how the OPS would a look on the original system, and on the right there is how our interface is drawing that same graphic on an aftermarket head unit. 3 color coded, dependent on distance to the obstacle. So we even pick up that color coded warning system in the interface as well, the same as Porsche do. But to give you an idea of some of the installs, we're looking at 911 here, 1116 model. On the left-hand side, you can see the original system, which is still, a very nice system. But again, CarPlay is missing from these vehicles, and this is the biggest driving demand right now for Porsche owners, is to have that integration in there. And on the right, you can see our system. So again, retaining all the comfort settings of the vehicle, as well as the infotainment, keeping the steering wheel controls operational, and again, where there is fiber, most 25 fiber required, we're doing the solution for that as well. So you will have one application for non-fiber and another one for fiber. Also on this kit, we actually replicated the metal cage, which is the same as the Porsche design. And again, for a Porsche customer, that's a big deal. And this is something we learned early on with Porsche. We do a lot of, for the older solutions, a lot of plastic, but the metal is the way to go for Porsche, and they like that rigid feel of the kit when it's in the car. So we did 2 solutions also for Porsche. We did a steering wheel control solution, because on some vehicles you don't get OPS, you don't get such high-end integration. And we also then did a video version of that same application where we could keep the OPS and we could keep the climate. Difference is also price again. So there's 2 versions of each solution. One is SWC only, as you can see on this slide here, and then the same application with the video interface, giving you the OPS retention, because some 911s, as I say, don't get that OPS in certain countries, but it gives you the OPS and gives you the climate. So the customer can decide on which application they want, dependent on their budget. So 911, 2011 to 2016.
So is that 991 is that 991.1? Is that the year range, or?
No, it's the year range, sorry, Mesh.
Yeah.
2011 to 2016, correct. Yes, sorry, I thought you were asking me if it was the Porsche model number. I thought, I do not have the answer to that question.
Okay. All good. Wikipedia for all our customers out there, all our dealers out there, whenever we start going into E this and F that from BMW or whatever, Wikipedia has a great chassis code. Look,
that's correct. You get your TYP numbers for Porsche, which is your 996, your 997s, and so on, which is the Porsche model numbers. You're right. So on Porsche, we continued because we had a big hole in the Porsche range. So we did Macan 2011, 2016. The integration from an electronic point of view is very, very similar. Obviously, the plastics is very different. So again, removing the original system, putting a 2-DIN CarPlay system in, with a pocket up top there to fill up that space in the dashboard because it was lower down, and that's where we used the aperture to get the depth for the aftermarket unit. So rearranged the dashboard, and again, gave you the same electronic solution. Interesting thing on Porsche as well, we retain the warning chimes. Absolutely important. If you're running low on oil, the light will come on, but without the interface, you won't get that warning chime. So seatbelt warning, low pressure, we retain all of those warning tones on the Porsche kits as well. Again, give the CAN bus outputs, retain comfort settings, as well as the infotainment, including camera retention and USB retention.
It's so critical to have these selling points to a Porsche customer.
Without them, you don't sell the kit, because
they just won't take it.
No one's going backwards. They only want to go forwards, and they want to buy CarPlay, but they don't want to lose other functionality for sure. So again, we do a steering wheel control version only, and we do the video solution, which again gives you the OPS and climate retention on the display. So that's Macan, Panamera, bigger year range here on the Panamera 09 to 16. From a kit point of view, again, metal brackets are required, not the full cage as before. Steering wheel control version, in the video version, fiber and non-fiber dependent on the vehicle. Warning chimes, return, and your CAN bus output. So electronically on these kits, very, very similar, slight changes, but very similar, but mainly the mechanical differences on the kits. And there's the video version of the Cayenne. Sorry, Panamera on that one.
In these kits, the framing is actually the simple part compared to like the
Well,
BMWs or the Audis.
probably our mechanical engineering team wouldn't agree with that.
Probably
but,
not. They were like spitting on me right now. What is Wu saying?
Yeah. I mean, let's be frank. To make the kit, realistically, we can be anywhere between 3 to 8 months in design. Then there's the tooling. Then there's the prototyping. So actually, it is simple compared to the electronics. The electronics does take longer, but still quite a bit of engineering goes on here.
Sure.
And we do find that donor vehicles are a little bit harder when it's a Porsche opposed to perhaps a Renault or a basic Ford. People do get a little bit precious about lending their Porsches for you to do prototype installs on.
Do tear apart and see what's inside? Yeah.
Yeah, we make them we make them sit in another room when we take their car apart. But we always give that's right. But we always give the screws which are left over back. That's important. That's absolutely important.
In a doggy bag, little goodie bag.
Yeah. Oh, grip seal.
Couldn't figure out where these went, so here. Yeah.
They're yours. Like
those metal mounting points. They've got to be. I mean, the tooling on those has got to be, because I mean, even us, when there's multiple kits available, we'll usually defer to ordering the kit with the metal bracketry, because we've seen that there seems to be, like, sometimes there'll be 5 or 6 kits that might fit a certain application available from Connect2, and we'll usually default to the one with the metal bracketry, even though it is more costly.
Yeah,
it's just a more secure way to mount it, and the dealers really find it. You put the radio in there once, and it's in there.
Yeah, correct. Right. For us, I mean, we don't supply many multi-kits. And that's a big difference with Connect2's range. We don't have multi-kits because we haven't got mass merchants who are hanging a lot of SKUs on a hook and they want coverage on the hook. We have specialist dealers all over the world that want to buy the right kit for the right application. So that's in our design philosophy. We design the kit right for the car, and people will spend more money to have that correct kit. So it's a different philosophy at design. Just for a different reason, but that is why we will have these dedicated brackets, and our engineering team are very, very pro that solution. Really, it means we're carrying more inventory, and that can cause some problems in other areas of the business. But we do have the right solution. So yeah, we do try to use metal in these cases where we need to add strength to the sub dash.
Okay.
And then on to remaining Porsche, which we've launched. This is over the last 6 months. Is the Cayenne 11 to 16. Now this traditionally has always been a very popular application for upgrading. So we do the new kit to continue that same line. Again, the rearrange of the dashboard, metal bracket solution. We do the SWC CAN bus. We do the video solution. Retaining all the features on the same on the other Porsches I've discussed for the non-amplified and the amplified. So a complete solution really for all the Porsches, really from 11 through to 16, and gives us great coverage now on those vehicles. So that's it for Porsche. But I think we've got a video which we'd like to share with you just to give you an example of that product and what it looks like in the dashboard.
With the infodapter installed, your new aftermarket head unit will now respond to OEM steering wheel functions, and when the scroll button is held down, you are then able to access the unique configuration menu. Herein, you will find submenus for the screen size and position, as well as the brightness, contrast, and saturation of key infographics. Accessing the Preferences menu, you will find a number of options that relate to the vehicle's reverse camera. Herein, you can select whether the camera is OEM or aftermarket, as well as a selection of options that control when and how the camera feed is displayed. When you're happy with your preferences, you can then view your reverse camera on screen and toggle the new Park Assist visualization by using the scroll button.
in the dashboard and the menu structure, which I discussed, which we're retaining, allowing people to change their comfort settings and so on. There is an installer menu there, which was shown in the video, which is really, really useful for us to be aware of, that when we install the product, there is some setup that needs to be done, and we give an installer menu to allow us to do that, which is covered in the instructions of the product. So there's an installer menu and there is a customer facing menu for changing those comfort settings. So that's Porsche, and obviously big range there of new vehicles, and he's perfect for upgrading CarPlay in Porsche right now. Another application which we just launched on Land Rover, so for the Discovery 4, where we're rearranging that dashboard. We're allowing a 2-din install into the vehicle, retaining fibre when it's there, and really offering a solution that's unparalleled in the marketplace. So quite a comprehensive plastic kit that comes with to rearrange the dashboard to allow the clock retention up top, 2-din solution going in, and blocking off the oversized part of the dash. We retain the menus on the vehicle through the video solution, the OPS data, fiber optic, and we give those CAN-bus outputs again, which gives us everything you need for install on the Discovery 4, which is 2009 through to 2016. So it's a pretty big car park as well there. This only fits the vehicles with non-original navigation. So it's for the lower spec vehicles, non-original sat nav, but a big car park for that vehicle as well. Okay, so that's a snippet really, guys, of the new kits which are coming your way through Importel. There's a lot more in the pipeline, and as you know, there's 4,500 solutions or so sitting there on c2.com. So there's a lot of other kits for these brands as well, but these are the new highlights. I'd just like to go through really some of the philosophy on our brand, really, just to summarise there. This 500,000 installs a year is data coming from our distributors globally, and that's really important. That's a big growth area for us right now in the amount of installs we're getting. Our brand philosophy of retaining OEM functionality, we want people to experience what they had before in our products. We don't want to go away from that. We want it to be plug and play and as easy as possible. Easy as possible means returns and callbacks don't happen. So that's very, very important. And obviously our tech support being there when required and supporting Importel to help you. We make the product, so that makes it very easy for us to support it. Our engineers, they're making it so they can support you. And we've got a very unique car park range in those premium European applications, which is growing all the time. And really that underlines what our brand is about.
Absolutely. There's like, to our dealers out there, one of the things that Andy touched on when he was talking about retaining factory features, and it's something that we probably, most of us have, our dealer network, they've been in business 20, 30, 40, like however, generations in some cases. We're used to walking, we get a car come in and, hey, it's a Porsche. Yeah, I want to change your radio. Hey, you know what? Let's put amplifiers and stuff in it, and let's just run RCAs to the back, and it's gonna be great. Right? We don't have to do any integration. We don't have to keep the most system. Well, you kind of need to use a Connect 2 module if you want to keep all of your oil warnings and sensors, because a lot of the new vehicles don't even have dipsticks.
Yep.
Right? Most Porsches, Audis don't have dipsticks anymore. Right? They don't even have a drain plug anymore. In some cases, they're sucking it out of the where the dipstick was. Right? So what that means to the consumer is, if we lead them down, if we say, hey, yeah, we can take care of you, we'll put a bunch of stuff in, and we do what we've always done, which always worked, right? Well, it doesn't work anymore because you're removing a factory warning features, or like SOS in the case of an accident, or I don't know what the Porsche version is, but I know the BMW SOS. These are features that we probably could get ourselves into a bit of a liability. I don't want to get into a whole discussion on that, but from a dealer standpoint, yeah, there's more. There's a cost involved with. Yeah, we're going to do the integration module up front for the radio, and then we got to do a different integration module in the back to turn the most into Toslink or whatever into analog. But we're retaining all the features, like Andy said, in the vehicle. And if we don't advise the customer up front, then we're potentially causing ourselves grief later down the road, right? So understanding what kind of functionality that we have and investing a little bit of time into it. And judging by, Ben's question on retail pricing on some of the kits, I mean, this is a way, like I use this daily. People complaining, oh, there's no money in, replacing radios. Well, the kit is now more profitable in a lot of cases than the radio, replacement is, right?
Yeah.
So when we were doing nav the first time in a basic, I don't know, a 20-year-old or 15-year-old GM or whatever it was, and there was it was a profitable category, and everything cost a lot more. So you had dollars, you had profit dollars in the job in the 4 hours in the bay or whatever it is, right? If you got 4 hours in the bay and you're selling the same radio that you would have sold for a 1998 Civic, and you're still putting that CarPlay piece into a Porsche, and the kit parts are more than the radio is, and you still got 4 hours instead of 2 hours in the bay because you got a more elaborate install, why would you not want to do the work?
Yeah.
Right? It's a profitable category, not because we're overpricing the product, but it's just there's more technology in the integration.
It comes
That's
down
what we do.
It comes down to the whole category that is OEM integration, which is the vehicles are becoming more complex with more systems in place. You highlighted so many. I learned a new one, the Audi one, because we never really talked about Audi. I just learned about that today, the MMI category. But what I was getting towards is, the key for me on behalf of the dealers, when they're listening to you guys talk about this stuff, when it comes to premium vehicle customer, their expectations need to be severely managed. One wrong thing that you said that you're not going to deliver on, that deal is off.
Yep.
So when Connects 2 says it will retain this feature and you'll have the audible chime and all those check marks, they need to be understood. And training, I think, is going to be a clutch here, because if at the sales, that customer doesn't care if he's paying $1,100 for an adapter kit.
Right, but
because
in a lot of cases, the customer doesn't know.
Doesn't even know.
Right, so if we don't do that thing in the sale, right, we could potentially go down the wrong way. So we want to make sure, because
100%,
we can do all that for you.
But
those features
you say one wrong thing in that process,
yep,
and you promise something that it doesn't do. Guess what happens after you install it, and that customer realizes, but you told me this works, and it doesn't. That whole thing's coming out.
Yeah. One of the market guys to consider, and this is one we're seeing as well, is when the original system fails. If an original system fails and you go back to Porsche, BMW, Audi out of warranty, you get a very interesting price figure for replacing that system from the original, which still doesn't have CarPlay. So actually, when we talk about these retail numbers, you go back for a Porsche PCM system out of warranty, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 can disappear very, very quickly to replace the old system that didn't do anything more than it did before. But you need it because your OPS is gone, my heater controls has gone, and all these other comfort settings. You will lose. It's not just the fact that your head unit failed, your control system in the vehicle has gone, your display's gone. So you absolutely have to replace it. So yes, there's definitely the upgrade market for CarPlay. That's very, very, very big right now. But we also have this replacement market as well. And we can very much compete in the aftermarket, giving a solution which you're getting more for your dollars than you would do through replacing the OE like for like. So that's another area.
If I can jump in there.
Go ahead, bro. I got something after you.
One of the things we were saying before that was, we were kind of talking about premium. A lot of the applications are premium, but let's take a Mark 7 Golf, like a 2016, I guess. What is that, 16? Yeah. Golf, like a GTI. The integration kit from Connects 2 actually retains all of the functionality, which there are no other kits that are really doing that the same way, because they don't have the video input portion, or the backup camera and the all of that,
and the steering wheel
safety. Steering wheel interface is there, but the visual parking display, is that what you're calling it?
There's the OPS data. Ramesh, there's 87 displays we retain in that kit. So there's 87 menu screens which we
in that GTI.
Yeah, in the MIB2 Golf system.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then another example of a I guess less premium vehicle is even the Mini. There's a gazillion of them on the Auto Trader right now for sale, right? But none of them have, most of them don't have nav. None of them have really any good integration.
Fiat 500.
Yep. Yep.
Fiat 500 is a very popular application for us.
No, it's the new Civic. I'm just saying they're everywhere and they're
Yep,
not
yeah, well,
expensive. Okay, here's one that's
What do you got?
off the cuff.
Hit us.
So here I am talking to like Pioneer, and I'm talking to like Kenwood and JVC. So we all know what the latest craze is, right? In source units,
Mm-hmm.
big old 10-inch floating screens.
Yep.
You see where I'm going with this, Andy?
Well, that floating screen fits into a doubled-in aperture, though.
It does, but there's ways if you actually engineered it to really be slick. And I'm just curious if there's any thought given towards that moving forward.
So the modular units globally, and this is the point globally, are different in every continent.
Oh, really?
So from pretty much both electronically and physically. So the issues we get, and we deal with people all over the world, both as suppliers and as customers. And so we've looked into this, and we need to make a tool per model, per continent almost. So this becomes a very costly exercise. And of course, 2DIN has been around for 10, 15 years. You put the investment into a tool, that's pretty. What we're worried about as an industry is the 10-inch becomes an 11-inch next year or 9.5-inch the year after. And the investment on return is a big factor. But as you know, now the industry is catching up. There are solutions coming out for the modular units, and it's definitely somewhere we invest in. But those are the restraints at the same time as an industry we've got to deal with. So everyone wants the modular units. Everyone's big is best, but actually locating that in the dashboard correctly is a costly exercise, and we've got to have that investment and the return on that investment. So yes, it's very exciting, but it has some hidden dangers, let's say, for the aftermarket manufacturers.
I would expect if anybody came out of that first, it'd be you guys. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that.
Yep.
We're closing out this segment. Andy, what message do you have for Canadian dealers viewing this for the first time and maybe getting familiar with Connex 2? And, what message do you have for them?
You know the brand now. European applications, the premium applications, that is where we're strong. That's where you need to go to Importel, and you can see our vast range, and you'll probably get a few surprises if you look into that on what we offer. So that's the message.
And what about from a resource standpoint? Where can people go for tech support resources, lookups?
Ramesh, do you want to answer that one?
I'll definitely answer that. So vehicle application guides, stuff like that, what fits what. The Connex2.com website is has everything listed. There is a new site you said coming, I think, Andy, at some point.
We're refreshing the sites right now, and there'll be some login areas as well, Ramesh, there for dealers as well. You're right.
Cool. Nice.
But that'll be later this year.
Right. So that'll give you, so going to the Connex2 website will give you vehicle applications. It'll give you full kits, component parts. My process generally, or what I suggest is if there's a full kit, go to the full kit, click on it. Obviously figure out whether it's amplified, non-amplified, most, not most, whatever the case may be. And then you'll see the parts, the sum of the parts. Grab those parts, throw them in our website. They should typically come up. If they don't, just give us a call, and myself, Kelly, Frank, we'll all be able to walk you through and get you detailed information. Awesome. And then sometimes you might have an oddball car, and we'll get you pricing and special order, whatever we need. We order on a, almost weekly basis from Connex2, it feels like. Everything gets shipped by air, so the distance isn't an issue. In a lot of cases, it can be the same timing or faster than coming from the United States, because the cross-bordering goes faster. And right now with, like everything else, with some of the market conditions, it might be an extra day or two in there with, trying to get stuff out of the barn over there or across the border. That just sort of happens. I think we're all used to it now after 13 months.
It's kind of a
so we roll with it, but yeah, it's super quick. Even special orders or even existing stock, we've got additional full-time bodies now in the purchasing department. We're checking. Andy's probably going crazy. We're checking all the time. Like, hey, do you got those in stock? Are they physically there? When are they going to be in your barn?
Oh no, right? Not Ramesh again. Busy. Yeah. Slide right.
Exactly.
All right. Hey, Andy. Thanks so much for taking the time with us from
problem, guys. No
problem. From the UK, and
thanks, Andy.
Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I thought that was super cool, man. I learned a lot on that one. Applications that I never even thought existed.
Man, it is. I don't know where they come up with the ideas that they come up with, but the kits are, the plastic part is the part we're used to seeing, but those integration kits are pretty special. They're
Yeah,
fantastic.
very in depth. They spared they literally top to bottom every function. But
Yeah.
it's important. Like I just want to reiterate that's important to know confidently when you're talking to your customer. Make sure you do your. If you don't know,
even the things like
don't
the metal
promise it
brackets.
until you verify. But the fact that they've checked all those boxes, that would give you confidence on the sales floor.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ramesh, thanks so much, man. I'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
There you have it, guys. Connects 2 from across the pond, specializing in OEM integration solutions for a lot of the cars that you might not have known existed. So thanks to them for that great presentation. That draws an end to this particular session. We're continuing on our all-day coverage of Importel. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.